All right. So this week, we were gonna be reacting to my 2023 NFL record predictions. Just see where I was wrong and see what I did right here. So yeah, let's get started. All right. So first up, in the AFC West, I had the Kansas City Chiefs going 14-3. He ended up going 11-6. So I was 3 games off there. I expected the receivers to be a lot better than they were. I actually expected Kadarius Toney to be our best receiver and have nearly 1,000 yards probably, because he was so good in that Super Bowl last year. But obviously that didn't happen. So yeah, the Chargers I had 11-6. They went 5-12. They ended up losing like the last 7 or something games in a row. So definitely, I feel like if they had Justin Herbert all season, they would have been a lot closer to 11-6. Also, if they had Mike Williams all season, they probably would have been 11-6 with a healthy Justin Herbert and Mike Williams all season long. So that's really where I'm going wrong there, is because they just had too many injuries this season. So I'll give myself a pass on that one. But the Broncos, I was pretty close. I had them going 9-8. They ended up going 8-9. So I'll take that as a mini win there because I was only 1 game off. So not too bad there. And then the Raiders, I had 6-11. They went 8-9. So they did it a little bit better than I thought they would have. But that's also probably because, they beat the Chiefs. I didn't expect that. And the Chargers, were really bad this year, and they probably got a win over the Chargers. I would have expected the Chargers to win with Justin Herbert and Mike Williams. So I probably just got a couple of division games wrong with the Raiders, but I wasn't too far off. They still weren't a great team. So yeah, next up is the AFC South. I had the Jaguars going 12-5. You ended up going 9-8. You know, maybe if Trevor Lawrence was 100% healthy all year and if Christian Kirk didn't miss like 6 weeks, maybe you go 12-5. But you just had a very bad late season collapse. I know you did not have Christian Kirk for the majority of that time, but it still, was not really much of an excuse. You guys definitely should have done better. But I also didn't expect their whole division to be as good as they were. I expected them to sweep the division because, I thought the division was going to be trash. So that's really where I went wrong there. The Titans at 5-12. Like I said, I expected the division to be trash. They went 6-11, so I was pretty close to the Titans. But I had the Titans at the 2 seed in the division at 5-12, which obviously was not happening because I had the Texans going 5-12 as well, and they ended up going 10-7 and winning the division. So this is a very big, gap there that I was kind of, very wrong on. But I really did not expect C.J. Stroud to be as good as he was this year. Same with Will Anderson. And I did not expect receivers tanked out Nico Collins to be as well as they did. So I really just didn't expect their players to be as good as they were, which is obviously not like really an excuse because that's kind of the whole point of prediction, just predicting how good the team is going to be and how good the players are going to be. And I was just 100% wrong on that one. Most of the same for the Indianapolis Colts. I had them going 4-13. They went 9-8. I really did obviously expect Anthony Richardson to be the starting quarterback all year, and I do think if he was the starting quarterback all year, they probably would be closer to like 7-10 rather than 9-8. Because I think Gardner Minshew played better this year than Anthony Richardson would have. Because I expected Richardson to have some turnover problems and some efficiency problems, kind of like the rookie Josh Allen had, and I feel like that probably would have been the case, considering how his first 4 games went. He wasn't the most efficient, and he did have a couple turnover issues. So I was pretty accurate on that. Just obviously was not accurate with their overall team record prediction. And then yeah, next up is AFC North. So I had the Bengals winning the AFC North at 11-6. They went 9-8. If they had Joe Burrow all season, they'd probably go 11-6. So I'm not really too far off on that prediction. I had the Ravens going 10-7. Obviously they went 13-4, so I was definitely really wrong there. I did not expect Lamar to have an MVP level season, and I did not expect their defense to be as dominant as it has been for the majority of the season as well. I had the Browns going 9-8. They went 11-6, but honestly, I feel like if Deshaun Watson was the starting quarterback all season, they'd probably go 9-8 because Joe Flacco has played better than Deshaun Watson definitely would have in the last 5 weeks. So I do feel like if Deshaun Watson was a starting quarterback all year, they actually would have been worse than they are right now. And then the Steelers, I had 9-8. They went 10-7, so I was pretty close there. I knew their Steelers were gonna get their freaking winning record again, how they always do. And they ended up doing just that. They just got one extra win than I thought. The next up is the AFC East, who I had the Bills going 11-6, and they actually went 11-6. I think that's the first one that I had that went spot on the record, going 11-6, and being number one in the division as well. Then I had the Jets going 11-6. Obviously, they went 7-10, but if they had Aaron Rodgers all season, I feel like they definitely could have been 11-6. So that's really where I went wrong there. It's just because Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing. I had the Dolphins going 10-7. They went 11-6. I wasn't really too far off there, but I do feel like obviously, if Aaron Rodgers was playing, then the Jets probably get that one extra win over the Miami Dolphins. So that's probably what really went wrong there. And then I had the New England Patriots going 5-12. They ended up going 4-13. So it's pretty close on that one as well. This is probably my best division so far. Obviously, the Jets was a bad pick, but obviously, if Aaron Rodgers was playing, would have been a lot different. But overall, I had two teams within one game, and I had one team right on, one team off with a major injury. So I feel pretty good about this division's prediction. Next up is the NFC West. I had the Niners winning at 12-5. They went 12-5 and won the division. So again, just like the Buffalo Bills, I was 100% correct on the 49ers. The Seahawks at 10-7, they ended up going 9-8. So I was only one game off here, so I wasn't really too far off. And I don't feel too bad about that pick. But then I had the Rams going 5-12. They went 10-7, so I do feel bad about that one. Really, I did not expect Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua to be a great player this year. Obviously, no one really expected that. But if both those guys were not good this year, they'd probably go 5-12. But obviously, that's a pretty big. I mean, you can say that about anybody. You can say, "Oh, well, if they weren't good, they wouldn't be good." Like that's literally what I'm saying. So that's basically, I was just wrong on that completely. Then the Cardinals, I had gone 1-16. They actually went 4-13, so they're better than I thought. They actually got their one win like in week 2 or 3 against the Dallas Cowboys. That was really interesting to see. Josh Dobbs played a lot better than I thought he would for them. And then Kyler Murray actually came back and played pretty solid. I didn't really know if he was going to come back because I feel like he probably would have just rested up and made sure he's 100% healthy for next season. But he actually came back and looked really solid at times when he played this season. Next up is the NFC South. You got the Atlanta Falcons. I had winning at 9-8. They went 7-10. Really, Arthur Smith just screwed this team up because obviously, if they had a competent coach who knew how to utilize his weapons, they probably would have been 9-8 and won the division. Number two here in the division, I had the Saints at 8-9. They went 9-8, so I was pretty close there. I feel good about that. I had the Panthers at 7-10. They went 2-15, so really wrong there. I thought that this team went 7-10 last year. On paper, I did not think they were much worse than the team they had last year. So I expect them to do around the same. Obviously Bryce Young was not as good as I thought he was going to be. And overall, the rest of their weapons just were not very good. So definitely just whiffed out on that one. Then I had the Buccaneers going 4-13 when they actually went 9-8 and won the division. I did not think Baker Mayfield was going to be a good quarterback. He was not a good quarterback last year. He was one of the worst quarterbacks in the league last year. So I don't exactly know what changed from last year to this year. He did have way better weapons with Godwin and Mike Evans as opposed to DJ Moore and nobody. Or like where he was in the Rams last year, where he had freaking really nobody as well because Cooper Kupp was injured. So he really did not have the best weapons last year, and having extremely better weapons this year with two really good receivers and a really good running back in Rashad White. He's not really good. He's pretty good. But yeah, definitely had way better weapons and looked like a competent quarterback, and I did not expect him to be that. Next up is the NFC North. I had the Vikings at 10-7. They went 7-10, but if Jefferson and Kirk Cousins were healthy all year, they'd probably go around 10-7. I had the Lions only going 10-7. They ended up going 12-5. So definitely a little bit wrong on that. But there's only 2 games after. It's not horrible. And like I said, if the Vikings were healthy all season, maybe they get an extra win against the Lions. I had the Bears going 8-9. They went 7-10, so pretty close there. I thought they were going to be much improved from last year and be, showing that they are one step away from being a potential playoff team, and that really kind of looks like what they are right now. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to be a playoff team next year, but they obviously do have the number one pick, so they can trade that or trade Justin Fields, and that'll definitely put them in a really good position to potentially be, a playoff team next year. At number 4 in the division, I had the Green Bay Packers going 7-10. They went 9-8. It's a couple games off there, but it definitely makes a big difference. Because I had them going last in the division, they actually went second. But I do feel like I just didn't think their receivers and Jordan Love were going to be as good as they were this season. I expected them to be looking like they have some promise to them, but I did not expect them to be as good as they were this season. Next up is the NFC East. I had the Eagles at 12-5 winning the division. They went 11-6. I obviously would have expected them to beat the Arizona Cardinals 2 weeks ago, so that's really the problem there. So yeah, I wasn't really too far off on that. I had the Cowboys going 10-7. They ended up going 12-5 actually, but I did expect the other two teams in the division, like the Commanders and Giants, to be better than they were. So that's probably most of where I went wrong there. Um, like I said, I had the Giants going 9-8. They went 6-11. Maybe if Daniel Jones plays all year, maybe they go 9-8. But probably still not 9-8. But they probably would have been a little better than 6-11. Probably like 7 to 8 wins, but probably not all the way up to 9. But definitely would have made a difference if Daniel Jones was healthy all season. And then at number four in the division, I had the Washington Commanders going 8-9. They went 4-13, so I was pretty wrong there. I thought Sam Howell was going to be a competent quarterback, which he was for the first 9 games. They were 4-5. And they ended up losing 8 straight games to end the season. So obviously, the first half of the season, my prediction looked pretty good because I expected them to be just there, right under 500. And I thought Sam Howell was going to be a decent quarterback, which for the first half of the season, he definitely was a decent quarterback. So yeah, that is that, and then we're gonna go to I had the playoff picture. We're gonna look at my playoff picture. I had the Chiefs at the 1 seed, 14-3. Then the Ravens actually get the 1 seed. You got 13-4. I had the Jags at the 2 seed at 12-5. Obviously, they didn't make the playoffs. Um, but in the Bills here are the actual 2 seed at 11-6. I had the Bengals at the 3 seed at 11-6. They obviously would have probably been up there if they would have been close if Joe Burrow was playing all season. Probably still would have been a wild card team. But the Chiefs are the actual number 3 seed here at 11-6. I had the Bills going 11-6, being the 4 seed. I was right about the record, just not right about their seedings. And then Texans were actually the 4 seed at 10-7. I had Sorry. I had the Jets at the 5 seed, 11-6. The Browns were actually the 5 seed at 11-6. I had the Chargers at the 6 seed at 11-6. The Dolphins were actually the 6 seed at 11-6. And then I had the Ravens at the 7 seed at 10-7. And the Steelers were actually the 7 seed at 10-7. So I feel pretty good that I had the correct records for the 5, 6, and 7 seed. Just obviously not the right teams. But, I feel like it's pretty um, cool that I did predict the right records for those teams. Obviously, I did not pick the right teams, but I did pick, one, two, three. I only picked three of the correct teams in the playoffs here with the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens, but also three of the teams I picked in here had major injuries that definitely, played a big difference on there. So only one I was really, really wrong on was the Jags for the Texans spot because obviously if the Bengals, Jets, and Chargers have their quarterbacks healthy, they probably have a way better chance of making it and potentially knocking out guys like the Browns, Dolphins, and Steelers. Now at the NFC playoff picture, I had the Eagles at the 1 seed at 12-5. The Niners actually ended up the 1 seed at 12-5. I had the Niners at the 2 seed then at 12-5, which was actually the Cowboys at 12-5. I had the Vikings winning their division at the 10 seed or at 3 seed at 10-7. And the Lions actually ended up winning and were also 12-5. The Falcons going 9-8, winning that division. The Bucks actually went 9-8 and won that division, but I knew the winner of that division was going to be 9-8, just because it is the NFC South. Let's see. I had the Cowboys at the 5 seed at 10-7. Um, the Eagles were actually the 5 seed at 11-6. I had the Lions at the 6 seed at 10-7. The Rams were actually the 6 seed at 10-7. And then the 7 seed, I had the Seahawks going 10-7. The Packers were actually the 7 seed at 9-8. So really here, I had four of the right teams over here. And there was one team here with a major injury. So I was obviously wrong about the Vikings, but that was with injury. I was wrong about the Falcons and Bucks division, but wasn't too far off there. I had the right record, so I feel decent about that. Then I was wrong about the 7 seed between the Seahawks and the Packers. But up until the last week, the Seahawks definitely were in contention to be that 7 seed. So right up to the last week, actually the Seahawks could have been the 7 seed. Um, and the Falcons could have been the 4 seed. So I really had a chance to be 100% correct, other than the Vikings for the Rams here. Obviously that was a problem, but having four of the right teams here, I feel pretty good about that. So yeah, that is my video. Thank you for watching. I will be posting my playoff predictions and my NFL power rankings for this week as well. I'm not exactly sure what order I'm going to upload those videos in, but make sure to check all of them out.